to rule over the black man and take his
Which was a bogus
resources
philosophy.
because he's stronger.
Yeah, which is a bogus philosophy.
What I'm saying to you is, anybody then who supports that philosophy, that ideology,
Anybody who supports the ideology that one race is fundamentally superior to another is racist.
right? Okay.
Okay, I haven't got an argument with that.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. Now that's exactly what's happening in Israel.
But I believe in South Africa, for the most part, they were using the race as an excuse just to exploit people. It was powerful people exploiting people with less power.
I think, Tony, what you're doing is you're perhaps softening.
No, it's just no. My attack is more brutal.
I think no. I'll tell you why, Tony. Because I can only go by not what I think they might have been thinking or what they might have been doing. I can only go by what they actually said.
Why would you believe everything these racists say?
And what they actually did.
But why would you believe everything they say?
Well, because if somebody says, I hate all black people.
Okay, well, I'll go by what Hitler says.
Yeah.
Hitler went, I'm trying to cry, we are the super race. No, you're not the super race. I know he said it, but he was wrong.
Clearly he was wrong.
Right,
but I'm
okay.
saying that
No, equally, the racists in South Africa, just because they
I'm not going
say
to start analysing whether Hitler was racist or supremacist or not. I'm going to say, you know what, he probably was, because he said the things and he did the things to back up what he said.
we may have to agree to disagree. I think it is more. I think it's more constructive. Okay, I think you can look at things from multiple directions, and you should. If you want to look at, say, South Africa from the point of view of racism, yes, do it, and you have good points. I'm not saying it wasn't racist.
And I think the same thing applies to
simultaneously you want to look at the site. Well, I actually prefer discussing South Africa because there's a motive for the minute, and we can discuss the underlying issues. I think if you look at South Africa, though, from the point of view of power dynamics, you get almost a more cogent idea. You get a pattern where people of power wanted to exploit people with less power, and then they rationalized it in their own mind using racist ideology. But actually, they just invented that to rationalize their exploitation.
Yet they didn't
so
do that
it was a tool. It wasn't the cause. It was a symptom. It was a way of hiding from what they were doing that was just exploitation.
But you're whitewashing history. Yeah.
Why am I whitewashing history? I'm trying to dig into the psychology of powerful people exploiting people without power.
The assumption in the psychology was based upon appearances.
I can't hear, because what?
So
Sorry?
the assumption that the way that people were treated wasn't based upon appearances goes.
I didn't say that.
That's what it
I
was.
didn't say that.
So if you're going across, this is a black person and I'm a white person,
Yeah.
that's based upon appearances.
I'm not saying they weren't doing that. I understand they were doing that. I'm saying that even if, my guess is that even if they didn't have a skin distinction, they would have made another distinction because their primary motive, I'm interested in the psychology of bad people, and the apartheid government of South Africa were bad people, right? And I want to really understand what goes on so you can change it, so you don't keep falling into the trap. And I think it can be oversimplistic to get into this identity politics framework of constantly talking about race. The psychology of those people, I think, was they wanted power, they wanted to exploit people, and they invented reasons to do it. I think that speaks to their deepest motive. Their deepest motive was, I want to keep power and exploit people. My understanding of human psychology and power dynamics.
The point is that the only way you're going to understand what their motivations.
Why is that counterfactual?
I'm telling you. So the only way you're going to understand the motivations of the people who did these things is to see what they expressed as their reasons for doing these things.
But that assumes that I should take. We've already agreed that these people are culpable and reprehensible. So why should I suddenly take their word for it? Usually when a person does something bad, they don't realize they're the bad person, okay? This is my understanding. I mean, this seems to be revealed in most religions, most psychology. Bad people don't know they're doing bad things. Bad people hide it from themselves. They rationalize their behavior. They don't sit there and go, I'm the bad guy, no, I'm the bad guy. They paint themselves somehow as the legitimate guy or the good guy, and I'm interested in how they kid themselves of this so that I can disavow them of the illusion, they'll realize they're the bad guys and stop being it. I'm aiming deep, but it's ambitious, yeah?
The way to get an authentic.
Why are we right next to them? It doesn't make any sense. Seriously, I'm a logical guy. Shouldn't we just move a little bit?
When we're going to move a bit, yeah?
Yeah? Should we just move a bit so we're not... You going to the pub? I will do. I'll join you shortly. We could. Which one? 3 tons? Okay, I'll see you there. Okay, great. Look, I know it's an unconventional view. I'm just trying to dig deeper. I'm not saying that your analysis of racism in South Africa isn't accurate. I think it is. I just think it's more surface. I mean, it's important, but I think if you can dig even deeper into the psychology of evil, if you dig into the idea that evil people tend not to realize they're being evil, and they invent ideas such as race and whatever else they can come up with to justify their bad behavior. I just want to factor that in as well. You can have both things. You can have the racist thing and what I'm saying.
I think actually taking away the reasons that people give for why they're doing what they're doing and stepping back and making it sort of less clear and more general, like this is just a power dynamic.
I didn't say it's not just, but that's an element of it.
There's always an element of power dynamic.
Right.
It doesn't give us any information.
Really? Why wouldn't the power dynamic give you useful information?
Because what you need, the information you need is what was the motivations behind this disparity? Where did it come from?
And I would, right. And I think the acquisition of power is part of that motivation.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell us anything.
It came from philosophy and ideology.
I think it's
something that was intrinsically motivating.
Imprinted within that group of people that they were superior.
Yeah, it came from
superior to the black man.
Right.
And so, see, Tony, look. The reality here is...
I love it when people say the reality is here. They sound like they've co-opted the argument.
Because I'm agreeing with you partly as well.
Okay.
That there may be other factors that also influence the overarching factor of race.
Great.
But all we can actually sensibly go by is the words they use to justify the actions, and then the actions themselves.
Why? Why can't I go by my entire understanding of human nature?
What you're doing is, therefore, you're assessing something outside of those two things that are witnessed, observable, and can be interpreted, to something that's completely, I would say, subjective. It has no evidence to back up.
No. The very simple empirical evidence is the people doing this are objectively people. That's an empirical fact. And people, I believe, and you believe, have a nature. They're not blank slates. Okay? Now, as long as you don't believe human beings are blank slates and you believe they do have a hardwired nature, and we all do, we may disagree as to what that nature is, but we believe it's there. I want to know how that hardwired nature is tapping into this motivationally. I'm not saying that in denial of your points about race. I'd want to do it in conjunction. I think that's the ambitious and insightful thing to do.
It, then it is fundamentally built into racism.
No, I'm saying.
You're not saying it's a.
I'm saying that if you remove the racism element from that equation,
why should you?
That's how you test it. I'm saying if the entire thing was simply down to racism, in other words, there were some white people who had a genuine belief that black people were inferior, and as that's how they behaved, then if you remove that racist belief, they wouldn't have continued to try and behave the way they were. My suspicion, and you can't discount this, and it's consistent with a view of hardwired human nature, is that when people can exploit other people, they'll keep trying to do it. So if you remove the race excuse, they come up with another one. They'll probably come up with, guess what? It's not about race. They're not so well educated. And they'd be right.
Why did they not do that to other white people then? From the beginning. Why only the black man? Why the Indians? Why the Aborigines? Why the indigenous populations in America?
Because the history...
Why was there not this mass genocidal culling of other white neighbours around them?
Just quote some Winston Churchill out.
Why only the black man? Why only the brown man?
Oh, really? You think that?
Answer the question.
You don't think the white people have exploited white people at all?
I'm not saying that.
Well, it's kind of implied.
No, I said
not on a systematic level.
Exactly.
That we see.
Okay, so hang on.
So let me just put this.
Okay, just for the record, Stalin, 60 million white people killed by white people. Just if you want some numbers, yeah. Hitler, however many. Okay, if you're really under the impression that white people haven't done a sterling job of kicking the living shit out of white people for like centuries.
Let's hear what you're saying. There was a systematic understanding that we are the superior civilization.
Yeah, and it was misguided.
Understanding.
Right.
Because either you can point to biblical, that the people of Ham were cursed, or you can point to Darwinian, the origin of the species. How he categorized the different evolved states of different human beings that he saw. He clearly categorized the white man as the most evolved.
I know.
and then there was this hierarchy of lesser evolved humans.
I know.
Subhuman species, he didn't use that phrase. This is where even in the secular mindset, and there was when we had this explosion of travelling to different parts of the world, and from the 1490s onwards, then what you saw was people being subjugated.
I'm not disputing any of that.
Because of an understanding of either religious superiority or a civilizational or a racial superiority.
I'm not trying to fly the flag for imperialism.
I'm not saying that you are. But what I'm saying is to remove those things as a factor.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah. All I'm trying to say is I think you get a richer understanding of the picture if you see it as a multivariance equation with multiple motives. That's all I'm saying, okay? And I think to